Hey there, today I want to talk about how we're going to kick it into high gear at Raleigh City Farm. Alright, well what do I mean by kicking it into high gear? You guys are probably wondering what I'm talking about. You guys know that if you've been following along, we've been working really hard to try to get this farm into shape and get it planted as soon as possible. We've done so many infrastructure projects and we hit all of our goals in terms of timeline. We got half the field built out, irrigated, and planted, and we feel great about that. But I think that right now in the current climate, we really got to kick it into high gear. And I don't just mean me personally and the farm here, but I think all of us farmers, I think we got to grow a lot of food this year. And I've been talking to farmers all over the country, and there's a lot of demand for local, high quality food. I mean, a lot of people, you guys know, you might go to the supermarkets and see that, you know, some of the shelves are empty, or, you know, there's a demand for it. So I think right now we need to be farmers. We need to grow food. I know that's what we do anyways, but I think I'm going to try to grow as much food as I can this year. And from the response that we had at the farm stand here last week, I think that's pretty apparent with our community, and I think there's a big demand for it. So we're going to try to push out a little bit faster, I think, than we anticipated. And I want to go through some of those details with you. If you've been following along with the vlogs, you kind of know the game plan here. We've been doing this in 8-bed field blocks, and we got 2 blocks done over here, so A and B. And behind me here is block C, and behind that where the cover crop is, that's going to be block D. And so this has been tarped for a few weeks. I'm probably going to give it another month or so, and then we're going to be building beds here. And I was going to let the cover crop go longer out in block D, try to get the soil a little bit better and take advantage of it, but I think we need the beds. And I know I made the last video about not explaining too quickly, but I'm feeling good about where we're at. I kind of, you know, with my experience, I know, you know, what to expect. We also have, we took on another intern, and so we have 3 interns for the summer, and they're part-time interns. And so I think we're gonna have the labor to do it, and we'll have time to get everyone up to speed and get them trained, because, you know, we'll be working on less land up front, and we'll be able to sort of feel comfortable with that and learn how to take care of that, so that when we do speed up and need to speed up because we have more land, we'll be able to do that. So that's the plan here. Last summer I also struggled with trying to get crops to grow in the heat in the summer, and I know a lot of you guys in the south might have that trouble as well. So I want to try to do some crops I haven't done before. We're gonna do a little bit of sweet corn, I think, and some okra. At least I really hope to, but I need the beds to do it. I can't really sacrifice, you know, high rotation stuff to put that stuff in if we can sell that high rotation stuff. So it's kind of a balance. So I'm hoping that by opening up another block, we'll have a little bit more wiggle room, and, you know, we'll have to play it by ear. If we get to the point where we're gonna plant that stuff and we need to plant other stuff that is in higher demand, we might do that. So I'm not sure exactly what's gonna go where yet, but I think I'm just gonna accelerate the growth a little bit. Well, another thing I wanna show you guys is the tool shed here, and Gene and Dave did a killer job organizing here. This was just full of all sorts of stuff from the last 10 years. So we got rid of pretty much everything you don't need. Things are in place here. Look, we got our scale and amendments here. Tools hung up, rack with all sorts of small tools. We have room for some wheelbarrows in here, and, you know, seeders and rakes and broad fork and tilther. Everything's hung up and has a place. So this is the stuff that you need to take your time with at the beginning of the season, because once things get rolling, like, if things don't have a place, things don't have a system, it's just gonna be impossible. So just big thanks to those guys. You know, we're gonna have a really smooth operation here this summer. So I'm out here in front of those 2 blocks I was just talking about. This is block C with the tarp, and what will be block D with the cover crop. And unfortunately, we didn't let the cover crop get tall enough to get a lot of benefit from it. But the reality was we didn't want to buy plastic to cover the whole farm, which, you know, will probably be more of a one-time use. So we're trying to just limit the amount of plastic that we're purchasing. And I'd rather just put plants in the ground and let biology happen. And so unfortunately, we're not gonna get the full benefit from it, but, you know, plans change and you gotta roll with it, and you gotta make adjustments, and you can't just like be rigid with your plans. You gotta observe and react, not just in terms of the biological processes on your farm, but also your market and your sales and your labor and all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna mow this down and try to get the tarp on it. Well, that was a little bit of a struggle, but we got it done. The little mower was it was a little overpowered for that job, but it's just the mower we have here, and you're not gonna be doing this very regularly. So yeah, the reason I'm mowing it is just to get it to break down faster. You could just crimp it or just crimp it and then tarp it, or just tarp it. But by mowing it, it really mulched up a lot of the biomass, and it'll break down faster under the tarp, and that's really the goal, is to try to get this broken down and get the weeds killed, you know, as quickly as possible. If I had a flail mower, like on a BCS, that would have worked great, but again, this is not a regular thing we're doing here on the farm, so it got done. Got it all mowed, we're gonna pull the tarp across. It's a little breezy today, there's only 4 of us. See how it goes. Well, there you have it. Phase 2 is underway. Block C and D are both covered, so we'll get to those when they're ready, but just happy to get the tarp across. It actually worked out better than I expected. I'm always nervous pulling the tarp with the breezy day, but it wasn't so bad, and you know, have enough hands. The one thing that helped a lot, I found, was putting the weight around it before we even started. I know it seems obvious, but just the little things, right? All right, a little sidebar discussion today. I want to talk about weeding for a second, just because I'm doing this right now. People always wonder about how I keep weeds down on my farm, how I spray stuff, and I don't do any of that stuff. And the key is really to get rid of the weeds beforehand, before you build beds, and then you don't really have weeds. That's the biggest thing. The other thing is, like cultivation, I own a few different hoes. Most of them they don't even leave the shed. I don't use a syrup hoe really anymore at all, because most people wind up using that in your walkways, and I put wood chips there. The tool I really like is this guy. This is a collinear hoe. Designed by Elliot Coleman. You get it from Johnny's. I'll put a link down below. No affiliation with them. Another good one is the Mutineer. This is made by NeverSink Tools. It has interchangeable heads. You can use wire weeders, and it's a really cool tool as well. I don't own one. I'd like to get one at some point. But the idea here, guys, is that you cultivate before you have weeds. And I know that sounds weird if you have never heard of this before, but all the thread stage weeds, all the really tiny stuff, if you just lightly scratch the surface, you'll kill all that stuff. So when you weed when there's no weeds, you never see weeds, and that's sort of the idea. And the beauty of this tool is this what's called a thumbs up tool, right? You're not down low like with a stirrup hoe, like doing this back over, a lot of effort. You're upright. It's a more elegant working position. It's a lot more comfortable. And you just go through and just go around the plants. And this will keep this pretty much weed free, and it's really a relaxing experience. It's very easy on your body, and it's just, it's great. But that's really the idea. And the other thing is important with a lot of the vegetable beds is that you keep really straight rows. And it's not just because it looks good, it's so that when you come through with a weeder, you can come through and just pull the weeder really straight. And that really helps when, you know, all your vegetables are nice in line. So this is how I like to stay ahead of the weeding. Again, getting rid of it ahead of time by tarping and building lasagna beds to suppress weeds, and you know, all the stuff you guys see on the farm here. So just want to share that with you guys. We'll get back to the topic at hand in a second. I know today's all about kicking it into high gear, and we made a decision now to push it a little bit further. And after mowing and tarping block D, I think we're actually going to mow and tarp block F as well, and that was we were going to do later. And originally that one, that's the bed, that's the block sort of behind here that's not tarped, and we were going to use that for perennial fruit production. And just in more discussion and in the intention that we want to try to grow as much food as we can as possible here, we're actually going to mow and tarp that now and turn that into annual vegetable production. And we're not getting rid of the idea of the perennial fruit, but we're going to put it somewhere else. So this strip right here between what will be the end of block D and the sidewalk here and the end of the property here has always been slated for a couple of perennial beds, and we weren't really sure what we're going to put in there. And so there's probably going to be about 3 beds here, and they're probably going to be about, I don't know, probably 70 or 80 feet long, I'm not sure, and they'll just be something different. And we never had a real plan for that. So what I think we're going to do is we're going to put the perennial fruit into this bed, these beds here, when we build them in the fall, which was still the plan, was to plant the fruit in the fall. And we'll do block F over here will be for perennial vegetables. So Gene's going to mow that, and then we'll get the tarp on it. Got block F all tarped, It actually was pretty easy now that we have our little system down and we actually know, you know, what size tarps fit where and stuff like that, and got that all done. I basically got a sea of plastic behind me. So we have 3 field blocks all tarped out. We got C, D, and F tarped out, and we'll get to starting probably C mid to late May, and then we'll build the blocks as we need, but I think we're going to need them as soon as we possibly can. There's just been such a demand for local food and for food in our community especially, and we have a lot of people and labor to help out with the farm here, and a lot of great interns that want to learn a lot of really cool skills and get involved. So I think the more food we can grow, the better. And so this is really not even going to be a big farm. I mean, we're going to be at 1/4 of an acre, so I mean, it's tiny. So we'll be great, and I'm just excited to be like taking charge of the land. We have a solid plan, and you know, have plans to actually be growing food later in the year and just really crank as much as possible. And we'll be selling food at the farm stand here, and then whatever's extra we'll be giving to our community. So it's a great start, and this is really stage 2 of the build out, and just happy to push a little bit right now so we can get this going as soon as possible. But I want to share this with you. Hope you guys are out there planting more food, planting extra if you're just homesteading or gardening, for your family, friends, community, and that kind of thing. It's gonna be a lot of people that need good food. So, and if you've got a commercial farm, plant a lot right now. I think you're gonna need it. So thanks so much for watching. Please hit subscribe if you're not already, and we'll see you in the next one.